Welcome to the Finer Femininity Catholic Women's Podcast, a podcast for Catholic women with traditional values, women who are striving for sanctity, learning to be more joyful and feminine in their vocations by studying Our Lady, the saints, and revered Catholic men and women. And now your host, mother of 11, grandmother of 26, Leanne Vanderputten.
Today I'd like to talk about our thoughts. You know, those little niggling things that begin in our mind and, depending on what we do with them, can build a castle or a manure pile. They can lead to our destruction or our salvation. Before I begin, I think it's important to clarify that if you have a husband who is struggling with an abuse problem, then these principles do not necessarily apply. Sometimes we may need different support that is more in tune with the serious problem that we are dealing with. So we need to decide or get a good holy priest to help us decide whether we need professional help. That being said, remember that a man is part virtue, part fault. And even if his faults may be annoying in your face type faults, these principles discussed here can apply to you. I do realize that it's not all the wife's job to fix things. But when it comes right down to it, we can only change ourselves. And that is what my website focuses on, and that is what this article focuses on, changing ourselves. And God will bless our efforts. So there is a saying. Well, actually, it's not just a saying. It's a Bible verse. I'm sure you've heard it. Here it is from the Douay-Rheims Bible. But the things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and these things defile a man. What this says is that those things that come from the mouth, the things that we speak, have already been in the heart before we speak them. In our relationships, especially with our husband, we have to be very careful of the thoughts that we allow to fester within our minds and therefore in our hearts. It starts with little thoughts. A little self-pity here, a little indignation and bitterness there. Things like, he knows I'm just as tired as he is. Why doesn't he offer to help with the dishes? He's so self-centered. So boom, that is one on the bottom of the thought pile for the day. Or how about, I bought this dress, went out of my way to look nice, put some makeup on, and he doesn't look twice. What a bum. Boom, pile it on top of the last one. Or this is the second time in a row he's gone out with the guys. He doesn't offer to look after the kids for me to go out. What a jerk. Another mess he leaves behind, and on and on. Wow, that pile is getting bigger, isn't it? On and on it goes. And these thoughts could be in a span of a half a day or a half hour. Can you imagine a whole day of thoughts like this? Now these thoughts may come. We can't always control our feelings, and life is what it is. People have faults, and you married a man that is imperfect. These are temptations. What we do with these temptations is the important thing, the very vital thing. These very thoughts that start off so small can either lead us on a destructive path or a path of joy and freedom. You say these thoughts are insignificant. Well, let's look at an example. You take an alcoholic who has suffered much because of his alcoholism. He has finally quit drinking and is experiencing a life that he never thought possible. He's gaining respect again from those around him. His family is supporting and encouraging him, and life is good once again after many long years of pain. Why would this man ever turn back to drink when he compares the two roads, the horrific one he was on or the path he is on now? It couldn't be possible that he would go back to drink, but it happens all the time. Do you know why? Because of a thought that he did not nip in the bud and cast out before it had begun to branch out its little tentacles, ready to strangle him when he was weak. Maybe after work, he thinks to himself, wow, a beer would be awfully good. And instead of casting that out, he starts playing with it and playing with it over and over in his mind. Or maybe a wedding's coming up and he starts thinking, wow, it sure was fun in the past to be drinking with my buddies at those weddings. And then instead of casting that thought out, he plays with that thought until it becomes more and more ingrained in him. Now, these thoughts maybe plague an alcoholic regularly, but he has to push them out quickly, or eventually he will fall. This little quote is taken from a renowned medical detox center. For those who are not aware, prelapse starts in the brain long before the alcohol or chemicals have tapped into your bloodstream. Relapse mode only starts with a few seemingly simple thoughts before you're on track to destruction. This happens with all the sins of impurity, anger, gluttony, etc. So these thoughts, these bitter and resentful thoughts that we have about our husband that we coddle in our mind, are not insignificant. I believe that once we open the door to these kind of little cracks and crevices, the foundation to your most important relationship in life begins to become weak. And one day, when you have given in to disrespecting your husband this way, the devil will come along, feed you a line, and you will cause damage that may be irreparable. We must overcome and change these thought processes, no matter how hard it may be and how long we have been giving in to them. It is God's will for our life. He wants us to love, to be kind, and, as a wife, to respect our husband and the position he holds in our lives. We will let God do his work on our husband. That's not our business. We know what work we have to do, and God will most certainly bless us for it. We have to be on guard against our own negative thought patterns and work to overcome them. They're not little things. They can turn into monsters. Just as the alcoholic would give up his whole new life because of a thought, so negative, self-pitying, bitter thoughts are a slippery slope that could eventually ruin a perfectly good marriage. We need to realize the seriousness of this and stay on top of it by reading good books, hanging out with positive people, listening to good podcasts, praying, going to daily mass, etc. What if we are really struggling in our life? We feel overwhelmed and tired, meals to make, children to tend to, husband to keep happy, etc., etc. We may feel we just cannot do it anymore. We can't overcome. It's too exhausting. And we're right. On our own, we cannot. Let's remember to turn to our Lord and rely on his grace to overcome. All the helps that we as Catholics have, the Masses, the Rosary, our sacramentals, the sacraments, will help us stack up graces so we can continue the good fight. It is very worth it. We have about 40,000 different thoughts going on in our heads each day. 40,000. What do they consist of? Do you just let your mind have free rein? And how's that working for you? What do you think of each day? We don't want to give in to mental laziness. If we try, we can always turn our thought processes around. But that is the clincher. We have to recognize when our thoughts are going down a bad road, and then we must make the effort to change them. Remember, what our hearts hold inside will spill forth in our words. Are these words going to work toward our destruction or our salvation? It is up to us. It is simple, but not always easy. God never gives us more than we can bear, though, so we need to roll up our sleeves and do what it takes to turn our thoughts around to a brighter, more positive outlook. I'm going to give you 3 exercises today to help you with your thoughts. First, and this is to train your mind and heart to be thankful for little things. Let's say when you sit down to tea, I want you to thank God for that tea, for the few moments that you have to drink it, for the sunny day as you are sitting and sipping it, or maybe it's raining, thank Him for the rain. Or when your little one is driving you crazy by pulling at your skirt and asking for something, quickly think of a time when you were so ill you couldn't answer their little calls, or when they were so ill you were sick with worry. Then thank God for the ability to be up and around and able to do your motherly duties. Thank Him for the tulips you see coming up through your window as you're doing the dishes. Thank him for your daughter's owie that is healing very nicely. Thank him for the dark chocolate you have hiding in your drawer for when the kids are napping. You get the picture. All day long, make yourself thank God for these little things, no matter how tired you are. Second exercise. Let's say there's something really bugging you about your husband. I want you to meditate on something with those exact things that are irritating you. I want you to put yourself at the feet of our Blessed Mother, with your arms full, carrying those precise things that are robbing you of your peace. I want to see yourself physically placing those burdens at the feet of Our Lady, telling her that you cannot handle them, you cannot change him, and that you are overwhelmed with them. Then give them to her. Give them to her. Ask her to take care of them for you, to resolve them. This is not only a powerful meditation, but it is a prayer, a trustful, surrendering prayer that Our Lady will not be able to refuse. Remember, though, she may not solve them the way you want, but she will take care of things in the very best way, through her Son. Trust in her for that. And the third exercise, and this one may be a bit harder, but I believe it is very valuable in the eyes of God. If you are stewing about something you can't change, whether it is a defect of your husband's or a situation or whatever, I want you to thank God for this very trial that you are experiencing. Just thank Him for it. He will take good out of it, and it is a leap of faith to thank Him. You will be blessed indeed. So just to recap, number 1, thank God for the little things. Number 2, take those burdens, those very things that are bugging you, and give them to Our Lady. Picture it. And number 3, thank God for the trials that you are going through. Actually thank Him for those trials. And finally, I know you've heard this Bible verse before. Philippians 4:8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. Think on these things. How important this is. Every day, think on good things. Read something on my Find Your Femininity website. Look at my book list for positive, uplifting books. Fill your mind up with these things. Pray the rosary, maybe even more than one a day. Say prayers regularly. It will take work, but God will bless your efforts and meet you more than halfway. God bless you, and have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today. Please stop by the Find Your Femininity website to enjoy articles on the single life, the married life, raising children, and the spiritual life, all written by solid Catholic authors. You can follow Find Your Femininity on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. God bless you, and see you next episode.